take a look at what you're wearing. Now look around the room. Now you may be asking yourself, well, why did I make you guys do this? Well, it's because, look closely. There should be a logo, right? Many items have logos, such as that computer, that Apple iPhone that is being recorded right now, that backpack. So how is this all possible? Well, look no further to the economic system called capitalism, more specifically a mixed economy. I, as well as many others in this room, were born and raised in the United States, which is a mixed economy, with meaning it has elements of both capitalism and socialism. We have the freedom of choice and consumer sovereignty, but also government regulation in the economy. A mixed economy is the most efficient way of economy. It has bolstered many other countries' economies, such as China's, India's, and Japan's. China, just 3 decades ago, was not even ranked top 10 in GDP due to having a centralized planned economy. But now, they are just ranked behind the US. I'm going to talk about this other economic system in Cuba. They have a centrally planned economy, which basically means that the government has total control over the means of production and not by private enterprises. So why is this a negative, you may ask? Well, the reason why it lacks innovation and competition. You see, in a centrally planned economy, there is no competition, there is no consumer freedom of choice. You can only buy what the state provides. Whereas at ours, we have multiple products to choose from, like Nike, Adidas, etc. That is not possible in a centrally planned economy. If the government fails to provide your needs, then you just have to cope with it or just leave the country itself, which is what happened to Cuba. Cuba has millions of immigrants coming into the United States due to their stagnation of their economy. And if you see, it's in the orange right here. It's just stagnant, and then after the collapse of the Soviet Union, their economy just went to the gutter. And that's how it's been ever since. And here's a video of a Cuban going to a Walmart, which is something that should be normal, but for Cubans, it's not.
Wow. Ando mi niña que no puedo enseñarse, no puedo enseñarle. No me culo. Luego por comprar toda la carne que hay. No he visto tanta carne junto. No quiero ni más un niño bueno que no tiene eso. Así que, no sé, me duele.
Yo vi, ¿cómo te sientes?
Fucking explotado.
Well, as you can see, that Cuban was very shocked on how much of a variety there was. The next centrally planned economy country I would like to talk about is East Germany, which does not exist anymore, as it unified with West Germany in 1990. And the thing I really want to talk about is the Berlin Wall, in which they built a wall to keep their people in, due to the amount of people leaving East Germany into West Germany, because West Germany had a more prosperous economy compared to the East. And even though they unified 30 years ago. You can still see there's division to this day, such as their GDP per capita in the East is just falling behind even to this day. Another economic system I'd like to talk about is feudalism. It is an outdated practice, and it was once the most prominent form of economy and government for hundreds of years in Europe. Serfs, while not slaves, they were not free either, as were most people during this time period. Serfs were bound to the land and were protected by knights. At the very top of the hierarchy, the king owned all of the land and would give portions of the land called fiefs to nobles in exchange for their loyalty. Knights could also be granted small fiefs as well, and the peasants and serfs worked on those fiefs. At the time, this system worked fine, but obviously times have changed. Most places just don't have a king, and one might bring up like the United Kingdom or something, but the UK's king has no power. He is just a figurehead in their country. Now, there are some absolute monarchies that still exist, but even they don't practice feudalism. And also, no one likes to be a serf. I mean, imagine staying at Nest City 24/7 and not being able to travel anywhere just because you're bound to the land. So now I'm going to talk about a mixed economy and why it's so better compared to the rest. Well, what are the benefits? Well, there is freedom of consumer choice, many products to choose from many private enterprises. There's also government regulation. This is necessary because without it, private enterprises would create monopolies, exploit employees, etc. For example, let's say if I sell beef, but that beef is tainted, and I sell you that beef, and you consume that beef, and you fell ill. Well, if there is no government regulation, I would not get in trouble. And that is why government regulation is pretty necessary in a mixed economy. Number 3 is competition. If a corporation or group or individual wants to make a profit, they have to make that product cheap or better quality. This leads to constant innovation and growth in the economy. Living in a mixed economy allows for private opportunities such as starting your own business or just working at your local Dollar Tree. Whatever makes you happy in life. In the end, it is you that gets to choose your own future. Another reasoning is the system creates jobs. Now, many of these jobs are not high-paying jobs, but you can get those high-paying jobs if you work for it. But the thing is, almost anyone can get those jobs. Unlike, say, feudalism, where if you're born a serf, you're gonna stay a serf. In all, a mixed economy is the most efficient economy out there. There have been other forms tried, and they either fade out into irrelevancy or they just end up not being good at all. Remember, don't take your life for granted and appreciate the variety of items that our nation has to offer. Many other places are not so lucky to have these necessities as we do. Thank you. I appreciate you all taking the time to be here today. Are there any questions?